Hello everyone, and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from... I'm terribly sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce the nickname. I don't even know where to try. So, Now he is in Annapolis, a tier 11 US cruiser. He's on the map Northern Lights. It's a 4-point domination game. Obviously it's a tier 11 battle. There are no submarines though, although there's a carrier, which is to be expected since he's also vision with fun. Anyway, so he has found his way to a very good spot here between the D and C cap, where he can basically raid both. I mean, his radar isn't completely covering D, but he could easily move more in that direction if needed. Now he's also currently using like the burst fire mode. I'm not entirely sure why. It's possible that he just wants to test it out. Or maybe he's hoping to get a nice fire with that amount of shells, which didn't happen. Like the burst fire mode is something that you usually want to use only to... If you are certain that it will either sink someone, or if you think it's the last salvo that you get off before they, you know, disappear like into concealment or behind an island or such. Because DPM wise it's always better to use the normal mode. But it was definitely a decent situation to test it out. Of course there was no enemy threat here. Now speaking of enemy threats, the carrier is obviously being a nuisance, so he is detected by the carrier and that means the enemy is gonna shoot him. But we've got a lovely fire on Annapolis. It's also a dangerous amount of broadside. Like if this Annapolis would armor-piercing burst fire here, that could end pretty bad. Now, of course, he would be in concealment if it wasn't for the enemy carrier detecting him there at times. Interestingly enough, no destroyer has tried a cap. I mean, the enemy destroyers might be afraid of our Annapolis here. Not sure what the friendly destroyers are afraid of, I guess. I mean, there are two enemy Annapolis, but they aren't very close to that camp, so it should be easy to go in there and then run when needed. There's a Buffalo, but the Buffalo is also not in the best spot. So I would definitely at least try, right? Because those ships aren't close enough to really take you down. They might just inconvenience you as a destroyer. But we will see. We have the Ragnar here. Of course, the destroyers also have to be aware of planes. Have to make sure they aren't detected by that. Now Annapolis here is making good use of that cover. As I said, like the biggest issue that he has is the carrier, because the planes keep detecting him. Well, and now there is a radar. So now might be the time to move a little bit forward and get into cover, although that was a very brief radar. But there is a Charger over there. And he might just be able to use the islands here to shoot the Charger while staying undetected. So let's just farm somebody else for a change, right? Also, the enemy carrier is finally busy elsewhere, so he won't always be plane detected. There is a lovely fire. Meanwhile, it looks like the Ragnar is... He's already running away. It looks like the Ragnar tried taking C, but one Annapolis pushed forward, so probably the Ragnar got raided and is now disengaging. But it's exactly my point. The Ragnar should be able to easily escape this, I feel like. And once you've pulled the radar, you can go back in and then cap it in peace, because it looks like the other Annapolis is down and the Buffalo is down. So with the one radar... Oh wait, I guess the Ragnar did not escape. Oh. Well, that's a shame. Meanwhile, we have a Satsuma actually camping, because why not? And now Annapolis is trying to get some sneaky shells into the Charger. But so far the Charger is not complying, although it should be... It's getting pushed pretty hard. So one would expect it to... Well, are they gonna ram? This would be a shame at this point for the allies. There you go. It's down without the ramp. Now, of course, that Kronstadt is now facing a Conqueror, Thunderer, and Annapolis, which is not an ideal situation. Speaking of Annapolis, ours is moving forward now in order to probably sail into the D cap and maybe get some shots, something else. Now, of course, he has to be careful. If he actually pushes through this cap, he will be in front of a Thunderer. That's gonna hurt. So he's probably just gonna stop here inside the cap and maybe farm the Conqueror. Conqueror has... I mean, Conqueror still hurts, but it has less dangerous guns than a Thunderer. And the island might actually serve as cover here, which is pretty neat. Meanwhile, it looks like an enemy Annapolis is going into the sea cap. It's interesting because, you know, no cap has really been taken this entire game yet. And nobody ever... Well, the Ragnar tried. I'm not sure how much health it had at this point. It tried and unfortunately got taken out. But there was exactly one try to take a cap, I feel like, this entire game. Well, unless you counted Satsumo and now the enemy Annapolis. Now, oh, somebody got resetted. I expected this cap to be taken. So basically the Thunder was taken out. So Annapolis saw the chance to actually move forward without exposing the broadside there. And he moved out basically exactly when it looked like they were capping. So there was no risk of exposing himself. Unfortunately, that didn't entirely... Well, I mean, it did work out in the end because the enemy failed to interrupt him. And a very nice torpedo dodge there. Now, it's not looking too bad. I mean, the enemy has finally taken a cap, but the friendlies are doing pretty nice on ships. Now, there is a Jutland against the Goatland down there. And my money's on the Jutland, I think. But we shall see. Conqueror is nicely on fire. And ooh, that's worked. I mean, that Conqueror seems to have loaded armor piercing, so turning broadside in front of it is going to be a risk. Well, Conqueror doesn't have the best armor piercing in the world. It's still gonna hurt if it hits your broadside. Oh, there is another fire. Obviously, seeing Conqueror's burn is very enjoyable. And there is a strike team achievement. So, it looks like Annapolis has decided to ignore the Conqueror for now. I mean, if he wants to go to the zone wall, it can. Now he's focusing on the Annapolis. He has armor piercing... Oh no, he's going back to explosive. Just saying he had armor piercing preloaded. Yeah, it's back to armor piercing. So he's used his radar to check the position, and once he realized the enemy is full broadside, he's now gonna go armor piercing, and now he's gonna go ripple fire. Now that's a very good use for the ripple fire, because you'd expect the enemy to possibly try to... Well, I'm not sure how fast it could angle, but that's an insane amount of burst into a broadside, and it survived. Oh, it survived. Almost. Not quite. So the enemy is trying the same thing, but now Annapolis is angling. And somebody else took care of him. Now at this point, he could just go and camp, although... I mean, the enemy is basically destroyed, so... And the friendlies have so it's equal amount of camp zones. Capping here is no longer the highest priority, I suppose. So might as well just go and farm some damage. You can also just go and cap B, and maybe he can shoot something while capping B, so... Get the benefit of both worlds. So it's back to high explosive, and that Conqueror is back, so... I feel like this Conqueror misses a few fires, doesn't it? Now this time the Conqueror's guns aren't looking this way, which means showing broadside shouldn't be an issue. Of course the Conqueror can always change its mind, but as long as it doesn't, you know, might as well just the full benefits there, and there is a carrier. There is a carrier rudely interrupting. But it looks like that will be easily dodged, and there is a lovely high caliber. So we are already at 230,000 points of damage. No kill though so far, so it's been a bit unlucky in that regard. But hey, getting loads of damage is always enjoyable. And there is another fire. Also is probably moving in the direction of the carrier. Not that we know exactly where. Well, there are the planes coming, so yeah, looks like it's there in the one line. Thing is, if the carrier goes north, it's gonna run into the battleships, so possibly it's moving south there into the corner. Or maybe the enemy carrier just got trapped, because there was no place to run. So Conqueror going down, nice, and we are back to armor piercing for the carrier. Once again, it's gonna be burst fire, and let's see if it works this time. But almost against the Annapolis. And look at this. This is beautiful. Isn't this beautiful? Look at those shells into the carrier. And there are the citadels, and well, somebody else got the kill, it looks like.
The ship is on fire.
Well, 307,000 points of damage. I guess that's it for this game. But boatload of achievements and not an awful lot of kills. So all that's left is to hunt down the enemy destroyer, which obviously will happen. So we can just jump to the results. So that is 3,900 base experience for Annapolis. It's a lot of experience. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that this division and especially Annapolis carried pretty hard here, so very well done. Very well done. So he also earned a high caliber with 307,000 points of damage. A Confederate, and then a bunch of division achievements that basically tell you that they wrecked the enemy team. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I'll see ya next time.